On the morning her engagement was cancelled, Alina felt as if the world had quietly decided she was no longer worth waiting for. The phone call, short and cruel, delivered with rehearsed sympathy by a man who had promised forever but chose convenience instead, and by noon the news had spread through her small town like wildfire, turning her personal heartbreak into public entertainment, whispers following her through the streets, pity in every glance, and that night, sitting alone in the dim light of a roadside cafe, still wearing the simple dress she had once imagined walking down the aisle in, Alina made a decision born not of madness but exhaustion. Exhaustion from being judged by her past, from being measured by what she had lost, from waiting for love to prove itself worthy. And when a quiet man at the corner table, Ethan, looked up from his chipped cup of tea and met her eyes with no curiosity, no pity, just calm recognition, she felt something unfamiliar, peace, and they talked, not about dreams or futures but about the present moment, about how sometimes life collapses not to punish us but to redirect us. And when the cafe owner joked about weddings bringing luck and Ethan mentioned he needed a legal partner for personal reasons and she laughed through tears saying she needed a fresh start, the joke turned into a daring truth neither of them expected, and within days, with no guests, no flowers, no applause, Alina married a man everyone assumed was poor, a man who wore old clothes, lived modestly, and never spoke about his past, and the town reacted exactly as expected, shaking heads, mocking her choice, saying heartbreak had finally broken her mind. Yet Alina discovered something wealthier than gold in those first weeks of marriage, Ethan's unwavering respect, the way he listened without trying to fix her, the way he woke before dawn to make her tea, the way he never once made her feel like a mistake, and though their small apartment creaked and the walls were thin, she slept better than she ever had in luxury, unaware that the men beside her carried a secret heavier than poverty, a secret built from years of sacrifice, intelligence, and silence, because Ethan was not poor by fate but by choice, a self-made millionaire who had walked away from a ruthless corporate empire after betrayal carved deep scars into his trust, choosing anonymity over power, peace over prestige, and Alina unknowingly became the first person in years who loved him without expectations, without knowing his worth on paper. And as weeks turned into months, challenges came like uninvited guests, bills stacked, neighbors sneered, and Alina took on extra work while Ethan encouraged her gently, never stopping her independence yet always standing beside her. And one evening when she apologized for their struggles, Ethan simply held her hands and said wealth meant nothing if love came with conditions. Words that settled into her soul like truth, but fate has a way of revealing secrets when the time is right. And it came during a sudden crisis when Alina fell ill and hospital costs threatened to crush them, and in a moment she never expected, Ethan stepped away, made a call, and returned hours later with paperwork, approvals, and a calm authority that stunned everyone, doctors respectful, administrators silent, and Alina watched in confusion as doors opened effortlessly, questions answered before asked, and later that night when she demanded the truth, Ethan finally opened the locked room of his past, telling her about the company he built from nothing, the partners who betrayed him, the fortune he left untouched, and the vow he made to never be loved for his money again, expecting anger, shock, maybe regret, but Alina only cried, not because he was rich, but because he had suffered alone, and she told him she didn't marry a poor man, she married a good man, and nothing else mattered, and in that moment Ethan realized he had already gained what millions could never buy, unconditional love. And when the truth eventually reached the town, those who once mocked came smiling, invitations replaced insults, and suddenly Alina was seen as lucky, but she remembered who stood with her when luck seemed absent, and together they rebuilt not just a life of comfort but a life of purpose, using wealth quietly to help others without cameras or praise, proving that the richest marriages are built not on status but on trust. And as Ethan later stood beside Alina at a real wedding ceremony years after that quiet cafe decision, surrounded by those who truly mattered, he whispered that her broken engagement had been the greatest gift fate ever gave him, because it led him to a woman who loved him before knowing his value. And if this story touched your heart, reminded you that real love sees the soul before the success, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because every story here is a reminder that behind every struggle hides a destiny waiting to be revealed, and your support helps us bring more powerful stories that inspire, heal, and change the way we see love forever.